Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. We're here this morning for an administrative matters meeting, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join if you're able. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. I call this meeting to order. I'm Kristen Stevens, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. With me is my fellow Commissioner, Commissioner Jody Shattuck McNally. We're hopefully expecting Commissioner Kafala soon. On my right, we have Deirdre O'Neill from the Clerk's Office helping us with notes this morning. We have our County Manager, Lorinda Volker, Tom Clayton from Public Affairs, and Sarah Martin from the Commissioner's Office. So welcome, everyone. We'll begin this meeting as we always do with public comment. We have one person signed up for public comment. I think Laura had signed up, but we'll have you speak when we discuss our discussion item. But we'll begin with Cindy Burkhart. Cindy, as you know, you have 3 minutes, and we'll have you introduce yourself and get started.
Cindy Burkhart, Larimer County 4-H Foundation. I've spent my lifetime caring for children and caring about children, whether it be through foster and adoptive families in which over 50 children have passed through our home, or through the Larimer County 4-H programs. I am now witnessing what I feel is the lack of commitment to the youth of Larimer County by our governmental agencies. The Larimer County 4-H Foundation is in the midst of awarding 24 youth involved in Larimer County 4-H with $1,000 scholarships. These youth have spent years in Larimer County 4-H and are now moving into a new phase of their life with the financial assistance from the Larimer County 4-H Foundation. These funds are raised through the 4-H Carnival. The Larimer County 4-H Foundation was invited by Larimer County Extension to celebrate these young people at an awards ceremony on June 28th. You have been invited, and in the past, you have presented these scholarships. Last Tuesday, we were informed that this event has been canceled by the ranch staff. Why? Why can't Extension host the foundation for the scholarship awards that is being held in the Thomas McKee building? 16 of the awards are given as memorials, and the families of these scholarships have also been invited. How disappointing for the youth to not receive their scholarships on June 28th. Aren't you supposed to represent the youth of Larimer County? I am a taxpayer that pays a salary to those working at the ranch, some of whom are not even Larimer County residents, and yet they can dictate who can and can't use a county-owned public facility paid for and maintained with tax money of Larimer County citizens. The Larimer County 4-H Foundation has never, to my knowledge, ever received a written letter of failing to comply with the regulations. We have addressed the concerns as they have been presented to us. When told we could no longer have a bake sale, we quit having a bake sale. Did we question the request and challenge it? Of course we did after 64 years. Should we not have? When told the 4-H clubs had to give out prepackaged food, we passed the message on as well. When asked to pass along about the vendors were this year, we complied to the best of our ability given the time constraints we were placed under. Mr. McGrath's email stated multiple reminders had been sent through 2023. I will challenge this statement. The foundation met with Mr. McGrath regarding the carnival, and following that conversation is when we received the letter of February 1st. Mr. McGrath had only been in his position for 3 months, and I don't feel had a clear understanding of the 4-H Carnival and its importance to the Larimer County 4-H program. The only email received in 2023 regarding the carnival was from Mr. McGrath congratulating the foundation on a successful event. Mr. McGrath has demonstrated his desire to remove the foundation from the ranch facilities. In 24, he stated that the Larimer County 4-H Foundation was not 4-H and suggested a fee be implemented to use the ranch facilities. He even offered to help find a new location to host the carnival. We were charged to host the scholarship awards in 24. It was not until December 26 that we even knew if we were going to have a carnival at the ranch as a 4-H entity. Mr. McGrath has been requested not once, not twice, but 3 times to provide the examples of the policy violations that have occurred, and the foundation has not yet received the documentation.
Thank you, Cindy. All right. Is there anyone in the audience who wanted to speak in public comment? Anyone else? All right. Seeing no hands raised, Sarah, was there anyone who wanted to call in?
No, Commissioner.
Okay, then we'll close public comment, bring it back to the commissioners, and just for the record, Commissioner Kofalis is here with us. Welcome, Commissioner. And so, Commissioners, any comments on what was said in public comment? Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
I just want to state publicly that I have attended these foundation award ceremonies. They're always so exciting to support the youth, and I support 4-H. I do, however, know there is some missing information from Ms. Bookhart's public comment. There, I believe the ranch director before Mr. McGrath also provided information and details about violations. And so I think there is a lot that is missing from this public comment. And I do know that was shared with Ms. Buckhart, and I do appreciate her support of being a foster family and 4-H. But there is a lot of conversations happening between staff and extension and the Foreign Foundation. So I just want to make sure the public understands there's more to this ongoing discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shattuck McNally. Commissioner Cavallis, any comments? Okay. Well, we will end that response time and move to our next agenda item, and that is approval of the minutes. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, will you make that motion?
Certainly, Madam Chair. I move to approve the minutes of the week of May 19th, 2025.
Thank you. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. We will now turn it over to Sarah Martin, who will do the schedule review for 2 weeks, since we won't be here next week because of a conference.
This is the Commissioner's schedule for June 2nd through the 7th, 2025. On Monday, June 2nd, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., the Commissioners Stevens and Shattuck McNally will attend the Colorado Counties Inc. Foundation Summer Conference in Keystone. On Tuesday, June 3rd, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioners Stevens and Shattuck McNally will attend the Colorado Counties Inc. Foundation Summer Conference in Keystone. From 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., Commissioner Cavallis will attend the Front Range Agrivoltaic Demo Day at Jack's Solar Garden at 8102 North 95th Street in Longmont. From 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., Commissioner Cavallis will speak at the Village on Impala grand opening event at 330 Impala Circle in Fort Collins. From 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Commissioner Cavallis will attend the City of Fort Collins Pride Celebration Reception and Proclamation Reading at City Hall at 200 LaPorte Avenue in Fort Collins. From 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., Commissioner Cavallis will attend the Parks Advisory Board meeting at the Department of Natural Resources at 1800 South County Road 31 in Loveland. On Wednesday, June 4th, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioners Stevens and Shattuck McNally will attend the Colorado Counties Inc. Foundation Summer Conference in Keystone. From 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Fire Learning Network Colorado Workshop Social at the Lyric at 1209 North College Avenue in Fort Collins. On Thursday, June 5th, from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., Commissioner Cavallis will host a community conversation for the Wellington and Waverly communities. Topics will be transportation funding and county updates. This will be at Avuncular Bob's Tea-Bar Inn at 3803 West Cleveland Avenue in Wellington. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Transportation Committee meeting. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., Commissioners will attend the Emergency Services Building Construction Kickoff event at 2250 West County Road 56 in Fort Collins. From 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual Go NoCo 34 Transportation Management Organization Board meeting. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization Council meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at the Severance Town Hall at 3 South Timber Ridge Parkway in Severance, or virtually via GoToMeeting. On Friday, June 6th, from 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., Commissioner Cavallis will attend the State Board of Human Services. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 1575 Sherman Street in Denver, or virtually via Zoom. From 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Regional Air Quality Council Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting in person. It will be at 1445 Market Street in Denver or virtually via Zoom. From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioners may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together member check-in meeting. On Saturday, June 7th, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., there will be Common Grounds with Commissioner Shattuck McNally. Topic will be the Larimer County Water Master Plan, and the location will be announced prior to the meeting. From 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will host story time at the Larimer County Farmers Market at 200 West Oak Street in Fort Collins. And this is the Commissioner's schedule for June 9th through the 14th. On Monday, June 9th from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual Colorado Department of Transportation Statewide Transportation Advisory Committee and Transportation Commission Coordination Meeting. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual State Forest Health Council Leveraging Resources Committee meeting. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session with Leslie Ellis, Director of Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources in the Commissioners' Conference Room on the second floor. From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., there will be land use items with the Development Review Team. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the hearing room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. On Tuesday, June 10th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an Administrative Matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be administrative direction to county management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. On Wednesday, June 11th, from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Workforce Development Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the hearing room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. From 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Rural Action Caucus meeting. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Energy, Environment, and Land Use meeting. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be a work session with Emily Humphrey, Director of Community Justice Alternatives, in the Commissioners' Conference Room on the second floor. On Thursday, June 12th, from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Thompson School District, Larimer County, Loveland, Berthoud Liaisons meeting at the Berthoud Town Hall at 807 Mountain Avenue in Berthoud. From 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Fort Collins Downtown Development Authority Board meeting at Innisphere Ventures at 320 Vine Drive in Fort Collins. From 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Larimer County Interagency Oversight Group meeting. From 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Resilient Counties Advisory Board meeting. From 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Office on Aging Advisory Council meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 200 Peridot Avenue in Loveland or virtually via Zoom. From 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual Fort Collins Urban Renewal Authority Finance Committee meeting. On Friday, June 13th, from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual State Forest Health Council Legislative Committee meeting. From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioners may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together member check-in. On Saturday, June 14th, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Heart and Soul Juneteenth Freedom Day celebration at Crooked Beach Brewing Company at 3121 North Garfield Avenue in Loveland.
Thank you, Sarah. Commissioners, any corrections? Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you again, Sarah and Melissa and Brenda, that all the things you do to manage our schedule. I wanted to add on Friday, June 6th, that I am going along with the Coalition for the Poudre Watershed to the Red Feather Lakes area for a roadway treatments tour, which is to go look at different sites in Red Feather Lakes and Livermore to look at the Livermore Fire Protection District and associated groups along with CPRW, looking at wildfire mitigation along major ingress egress areas. So that is, I'll be doing that 10 to 3, I believe, on that day.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cavalos, any corrections? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. The only thing I would modify is the Juneteenth event on June 14th. I'd like to be added as someone who may try to attend.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have a couple things, Sarah. So while I am attending the summer conference next week, and this is already on my schedule, but we will be convening as the Works Allocation Committee from 10 to 12 at that conference, and the Joint Allocation Group from 3 to 5. And this is to discuss child welfare, temporary assistance for needy families, and funding for Medicaid. So I'll be meeting with both of those groups. They usually meet sort of outside a conference setting, but they'll be meeting inside the conference setting at that time. Then it looks like there might be a North I-25 Coalition meeting on Wednesday, June 4th at 6:30. If so, I will attend that meeting. And then I didn't get the invitation yet, but I should soon, hopefully. On Thursday, June 5th, from 1 to 4 in Platteville, Colorado, is the Upper Front Range Transportation Planning Region meeting. That's a quarterly meeting, so I'll need to attend that. And so that will mean I will not be attending the Emergency Services Building Construction Kickoff event. And then lastly, I would also like to try to attend that Juneteenth event on Saturday, June 14th. And that is all for me. Thank you for those corrections. So moving on, we'll go to the consent agenda. I'll read through the consent agenda, and then we'll see if we have anything to say about those items. So the first item on the consent agenda is an agreement. This is a post-fire disaster recovery workforce capacity building. And this item requests approval of a 2-year Conservation Corps grant that will support the goals of the post-fire disaster recovery work, with 4 temporary positions from June 30th through September 30th, and those dates are tentative. Individuals will work in pairs in the Cameron Peak and East Troublesome burn scars, collecting data on regeneration and cone production. And this information will assist the Forest Service staff in identifying cone crops for collection, which will help increase the supply of native seeds for reforestation efforts in post-fire recovery areas. And that the term of this goes through November 30th, 2026, and the total dollar amount is $384,789. We have 2 deeds on our consent agenda. One is a deed of dedication for additional right-of-way on West Trilby Road, adjacent to our planned transfer station entrance. The next is a deed of dedication easement to Poudre Fire Authority, and this is also associated with the planned transfer station. We have 3 liquor licenses, a liquor license renewal for Wapiti Park Corporation, Rocky Mountain Gateway Number 1, and that is a hotel and restaurant license. We have a renewal for Wapiti Park Corporation, Rocky Mountain Gateway Number 2, that is for a fermented malt beverage and wine license. And finally, a liquor license special event permit, 6% for the Project Self-Sufficiency Rock Garden Concert, and that is a special event liquor permit, 6%. We have 9 miscellaneous items. The first is a solid waste assurance letter to the Colorado Department of Health, showing the county's estimated landfill closure liability and remaining capacity. And this information is also displayed in the county's annual comprehensive financial report. This is an annual requirement for landfill operators and associated with Colorado statutes. We have one the 2025 Transportation Capital Expansion Fee Adjustments. This requests approval for 4.44% increase to the transportation capital expansion fee schedule to reflect rising road construction costs and to ensure adequate funding is available to increase road capacity in response to new developments. We have 3 requests for approval to enter upon lands for weed mitigation. We have a Title V operating permit application form. The Larimer County has recently purchased the landfill gas collection system and flare from Larimer Energy LLC, and this form must be submitted to the Colorado Department of Health and Environment to transfer the associated air emissions permit into Larimer County's name. We have a letter of advocacy to the federal delegation on FEMA public assistance. And in this letter, the Larimer County Board of County Commissioners is urging our federal representatives to preserve the current thresholds for FEMA public assistance. As folks know, Larimer County has more natural disasters than any other county in Colorado. And in the event of a federally declared natural disaster, the county covers the costs of response and recovery efforts upfront, and FEMA reimburses us in the following years. But sometimes that takes a while. For example, we have just been paid for flooding that happened in 2013, so 12 years later. But by increasing these thresholds for public assistance, some of our most even largest wildfires would not have qualified for public assistance, so we would have had to do the recovery on our own. That includes the Cameron Peak Fire, which was burned over 208,000 acres and was the largest wildfire in Colorado history. So that is why we are concerned about these thresholds being increased at the federal level. And I'll let the commissioners say more on this, after we make the motion, if you wish to. We also have a letter to our federal delegation regarding SNAP and Medicaid. We have concerns about the cuts to SNAP and Medicaid in the federal budget reconciliation process. We have tens of thousands of residents that are on both SNAP, which is food assistance, some people used to call that food stamps, and Medicaid, which provides basic health care for tens of thousands of residents, I think maybe even 38,000 residents in our community. Cutting those benefits would be devastating to people in our community who are already on the margins and struggling with basic needs. And so we have serious concerns about those cuts, and this letter reflects that. And then our 9th item on the miscellaneous is a Poudre Valley Rural Electric Association non-exclusive right-of-way easement. This grants an easement to the Poudre Valley Rural Electric Association for the construction and maintenance of electric utility infrastructure to serve the solid waste department transfer station. So lots of work on the transfer station that's happening, which is exciting. Finally, we have one policy, the family and medical leave policy from Human Resources. Our policy has been updated to clarify that state FAMLI, or family benefits, run concurrently with FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, when an employee opts into the family program. And then finally, a resolution, it's a findings and resolution denying the Bennett short-term rental administrative review. This was an item that a public review was held on, or a public hearing was held on April 14th, denying that short-term rental. So that is it for the consent agenda. Would either commissioner want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Okay, I will have Commissioner Kafalis make a motion on this, and then we'll take some comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to, I move to approve the consent agenda for May 25th, 2027.
Thank you. I think it's May 27th.
Did I say May 25th?
May 25th, that's right. Okay.
I must still be thinking about the weekend.
That's all right. It was nice to have a long weekend.
Let me correct that, please. Thank you. I move to approve the consent agenda for May 27th, 2025.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion? Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a couple of comments. The first comment I'd like to make is regarding the agreement, RR 253, the post-fire disaster recovery workforce capacity building. This is, I just want to call attention to my colleagues in the public how important this is. To collect these seeds. There is a national and regional seed deficit in the millions for growing trees, and we are our current Colorado State Forest Service nursery is under construction, so other private and public partners are growing these trees for us in the region. But every year I go plant trees, and it's not just a few trees. I plant hundreds of trees on a weekend when I go out, if not more. Over the last 4 years, there's been 40,000 trees planted in Larimer County in just the Cameron Peak burn area alone, and that is not even a drop in the bucket for the need that we need. But the seeds, one year, because of the seed deficit, we had planted trees from seeds that were 60 years old from the Boy Scout Ranch, because the seeds have to be collected and used from that elevation in that region. You can't just use seeds. And so I just want to take note that this is really important. Also, I'd like to make comments, Madam Chair, on the proposed 2025 FEMA threshold changes. You've already said a few things, but I'd like to repeat some of them. Larimer County is a beautiful county. We have lots of rugged and beautiful spaces, but we have more natural disasters than any other county in Colorado, and we're considered a high-risk county in terms of wildfire. As you know, that's a really passion of mine to reduce that risk. I do think that there is some positive things released in this discussion draft bill, and I'm excited about some of this, what changes and potential additions this new legislation can bring, especially when we have to cover costs, and then we get reimbursed, as 12 years later for the 2013 the floods. This new model would bring up releasing front payments and getting us some money up front. But I am very, very concerned about these changes and thresholds. You mentioned this before, but I want to say it again. Cameron Peak fire in 2020 was the largest wildfire in Colorado history, 208,000 acres, but it's also one of the more intense fires, which it means it burned the soils to such a high degree that it made the soils very crispy and had that hydrophobic soils, which then increased our risks for hydrophobic post-fire flooding and debris flows, which we did have one of those and lost life. And so I think that not having these thresholds and not having these new thresholds that are proposed, that fire and those disasters would not even qualify for FEMA public assistance. And since a lot of that occurred on federal lands and public lands, I think this is something that we should be really raising with our congressional delegation and be more engaged in these conversations for this FEMA Act of 2025. And I do think these impacted communities and the county, and as we know, these are our watersheds, this is extra critical and important to make sure that we do everything we can to recover as quickly as possible. And we can't do that, and we can't cover cost, especially when these fires are happening across jurisdictional boundaries and the firefighting response, and we need to all be in this together and paying it in together. And I do hope that they'll consider that the cost of these disasters are going up every year, if not more. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kafalis, any comments that you wanted to make? Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just want to amplify what's already been stated regarding one of the letters of support, the one that is to our federal delegation regarding the proposed FEMA changes of Federal Emergency Management Agency. We understand, there's a draft bill that would actually do some good things, and this matter of raising the public assistance thresholds, which has to do with disaster recovery. My understanding or my recollection is that there were about $6 million worth of damages from the Cameron Peak fire, and should these proposed thresholds be increased fourfold, we would go from 1.7 million, I believe, to 7 million approximately, and therefore something like the Cameron Peak fire would not necessarily qualify for us to get reimbursement. So I wanted to add that. Also, I think there's a great opportunity. Appreciate that Commissioner Shattuck McNally will be there in our Office of Emergency Management Director. But tomorrow there is an event up in Estes Park. I believe it's called Protect Our Public Lands. So it'll be another opportunity to engage with our federal delegation. We're asking them to be involved in the bill drafting and also to push back and oppose these proposed threshold changes. Just very quickly, Madam Chair, on the other letter of support, I appreciate your comments. This is in regards to proposed changes to the SNAP Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program and the Medicaid program. I think one estimate is that these proposed changes could potentially impact 108,000 people statewide in Colorado, and certainly folks in Larimer County. With some of the things that are being recommended, turns out that a lot of people on Medicaid are working, and one of the things that these proposed changes in the budget reconciliation process would add a work requirement and a bunch of other things, and reduce funding and the matches. So these are our most vulnerable folks, and I think one interpretation of all of this is cuts are being made to support tax cuts for folks who may not need them. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. And I do want to thank Shane Atkinson, our legislative coordinator, who helped us with both those letters. We actually also have been talking to these federal delegations about these concerns, but this is our formal way to address what we're seeing as some disturbing cuts in some very important funding that would be not only hard on our residents, but it would be hard for us to deliver services to our community. So thank you to Shane for getting that organized. And I just want to say also that many counties are facing, every county, honestly, in Colorado and across the country is facing these same concerns. And we know that we've heard from several of our member counties and our organizations that also want to join on the letter or writing similar letters. And so we've tried to coordinate that as much as possible. But, the concerns are widespread because we all deal with disasters in Colorado. And we all have people in our community who need these very important services. So just thank you to the commissioners and everyone, and Shane and Lorenda for your support in getting these letters written. Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of things we can't do without the support of staff. So I want to make sure we also acknowledge Heather O'Hare, our Director of Human Services, who was instrumental in the SNAP letter. I believe her professionalism and her expertise in this area is unparalleled. And without her expertise and her diligent watching and leadership in this space, we would not have such strong letters and strong representation in this area. And so I just want to make sure we give her a well-deserved shout out as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Lori Hodges, Director of Emergency Management, who also brought the increasing of FEMA thresholds to our attention. This is a team effort. So thank you, Commissioner, for reminding us that there's several of us that have been working on this for the past few weeks, making sure that we address this. So with that, there's a motion on the table. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 3-0. And I don't believe we have any guests, although we do have guests. But we'll go on to our first discussion item, which this hopefully will be, we're dealing with some difficult and dark stuff sometimes, so this is a cause for celebration. Our discussion item is a proclamation declaring June 2025 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month.
Madam Chair, did we
Yes.
vote on the consent?
Yeah, we did.
We did. Okay, I'm sorry. I must have just had a brain freeze. I
That's
apologize
all
for
right.
the
Nope,
interruption.
that's okay. And so, again, as I said, we have a proclamation declaring June 2025 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month. And this was submitted by Lori Cadridge, but it was done in conjunction with our Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Board. And we happen to have Laura McWaters here, the Vice chair of our Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Board. And Laura, would you like to come up and give some context about this proclamation and talk a little bit about, how we worked through this proclamation and what it means to you, and if you're comfortable doing so? I did forewarn her, so.
Yes, but you didn't warn me about the scope.
You do not have to include that scope. I definitely wanted to acknowledge that the EDI
Are
board,
we going to read the proclamation here?
we will have you give a few comments, and then we'll read the proclamation,
Okay.
and then we will make a motion, and we'll pause for a photo if people are up for that. But yes, you can speak about whatever you like. It does not have to be that full scope of what I just mentioned.
Okay, 'cause
No pressure.
We go through this yearly for the proclamations for the county commissioners, and government proclamations and support are vital, and they're nice, they're pleasant. But I want you and everybody to know why pride exists and why it's still necessary. I'm kind of old, and that brings some perspective. Pride has been brought to us by drag queens and trans women fighting back against oppression at Stonewall and other places, by lesbians and queer women and lifelong partners who had been refused the right to marry, taking care of gay men dying of AIDS while the president joked about it, and healthcare workers refused to literally even touch us. It's been brought to us by passionate, dedicated, amazing, badass people fighting laws, unjust laws, against who we can marry, against who we can kiss, hold hands with, dance with, who we can have sex with, what clothes we can wear, and laws against what names we're allowed and what identification we can have, and laws that basically allowed trans and gay panic defenses for our murders, and laws and official apathy towards crimes against us. Pride has been brought to us by fighting for laws for health care and mental health care that didn't try to fix us and that actively harm us to make us fit in. And it's been for fighting for laws about the right to marry, to laugh, love, and live our lives, like the little signboards all say, as publicly and as authentically as everyone else. I want the county commissioners, I want the whole damn county to keep fighting and funding for an inclusive and equitable community for all, no matter what may come from the federal government, and even if some people think that their religion should say how others should live. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Very well said, and we appreciate your comments. So we will read any questions or comments for Laura right now before we read the proclamation. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Laura and colleagues. Could you tell us a little bit about the upcoming events that are scheduled? I think there's a city-sponsored.
Off the top of my head, not dates.
Well, there's the City Pride event, which I think is June 1, 12 to 4 at Library
Pride,
Park.
June 1st, Library Park, 12 to 5. And a Pride March the
day before.
31st at 3 o'clock downtown.
Oh, at 3 o'clock.
After that, we've got Pride festivals in Loveland, in Estes, in Longmont, in Greeley, a NoCo Pride later in the year in Greeley. We have, of course, Boulder, Longmont, Denver, Colorado Springs, Cheyenne, Laramie, just up the road in the other direction. And just because they're across the state line, they still count. There are Pride festivals all over the place. Okay, even Johnstown has one that I know of. Okay.
Thank you, Laura. Any Commissioner? Any?
Just want to thank Laura for her continued advocacy and telling it straight and with keep making sure that we don't forget the history of why we have this proclamation in this month. I think that was really important. I appreciate you all being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Thank you for your leadership on the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. You're one of the founding members of that board, and we really appreciate your voice has been really important as we do the work. And, thank you for your reminder. While this is, while we want Pride to be a joyful celebration, it's important to acknowledge all the things that are still happening, all the discrimination, and the taking away of rights that people are experiencing. And so I appreciate your advocacy, and we will continue to advocate as well. So thank you for that reminder. So Commissioner Shannock McNally, I will have you read the proclamation.
And make the motion afterwards, Madam Chair.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Proclamation for the LGBTQ plus Pride Month, June 2025. Whereas the celebration of Pride Month originates from June 28, 1969, police raid on the Stonewall Inn in New York City and the subsequent 5 days of spontaneous protests and confrontations by the LGBTQ plus community. And whereas this series of events sparked a nationwide movement that continues to inspire us to strive for our nation's promise of equality, inclusion, acceptance, and justice for everyone, without discrimination or harassment, and with recognition of the strength gained from diversity. And whereas 46 years later, on June 26, 2015, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled for marriage equality with same gender couples having the same and equal rights to marriage and its benefits, commitments, and dignity. And whereas all members of Larimer County community who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer or questioning, intersect, and asexual deserve to be welcomed, to be safe, and to live in our community without threat of marginalization, erasure, exclusion, discrimination, or harassment. And whereas local governments are uniquely positioned to improve quality of life, sense of community and belonging, and equitable access for all. And whereas Larimer County supports its LGBTQ plus community and focuses on creating and supporting an inclusive and equitable community that honors diversity and promotes unity. And whereas we invite everyone in our community to celebrate the hard-fought gains of the LGBTQ plus community towards our common goals of equality, inclusion, representation, and belonging in our county and our nation, while realizing that we all can and should do more to achieve all of these goals for everyone. And whereas the Larimer County Commissioners would like to express to the LGBTQ plus community, we value you, we recognize and celebrate your worth and contributions. We will continue to support and work with you and your community, and we encourage you to always feel proud of who you are. Now, therefore, we, the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County, do hereby proclaim June 2025 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month in Larimer County, dated this 27th day of May 2025. Madam Chair, I move to approve the proclamation declaring June 2025 and LGBTQ plus Pride Month. Sorry, there's a little extra word put in there. I apologize for the late. And may I make one more last comment?
Yes, please go ahead.
First, thank you all to come for today. Thanks to our EDI board. That's why I was saying equity, because I'm so used to saying equity, diversity, inclusion. But also just all the folks who put their contributions into so many community events and the people that go and participate, and the community members and businesses that celebrate the importance of this month. But as Laura shared, we must not forget why we have a Pride Month and how this all started. Love always wins, and love is love. It is always wrong to hate, but it's never wrong to love. And I think we all, in our great county and our great country and in this world, we all deserve to experience love fully, equally, and without shame or without compromise. Because to me, love is one of the most important things that drives our planet and our communities, and love will always win. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion on this item? Go ahead, Commissioner Kavalis.
Thank you, colleagues. And just an expression of gratitude from the heart. I certainly appreciate Laura. I guess we're both getting old, but both of us have been around the block a few times, and I just appreciate the community. I appreciate the community. I appreciate the solidarity. There have been at least a number of good events since the beginning of the year, and I think it's great to be invited to participate and to be there, be present in solidarity with folks as an ally. Um, a lot of credit to people for their courage. These are times that are a bit scary, and those of us who are privileged, um, we're very fortunate, and so all the more reason to be present with folks who are perhaps less privileged in different ways. So thank you all. Look forward to the Pride events and the march.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Laura, for off the top of your head being able to know exactly where there were Pride events all month. So I encourage the public to look into those dates and times for those Pride events and celebrate and show allyship along with the LGBTQ plus community. Many of us have friends and family members and neighbors and who are part of this community, and Commissioner Cavallis is absolutely right that we need to stand up now more than ever. These are scary times, and we don't want anyone in our community living in fear or having to hide who they are. And so, just to encourage people to stand up when you see injustice and things that are wrong. We want to make things right. So, with that, let's take the vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 That motion passes 3-0, and we'll pause and yay! Thank you. Thank you for being here. We will pause and take a photo if folks are okay with doing that. We have some proclamations here if you want to take one home with you. And yeah, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you. We are back from our photo op, and we are ready to go on to our next agenda item, and that is our county manager update.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much. I guess I'll just point out that last week on Wednesday, you all conducted a work session for going over our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges with our budget team. They gathered that information from the leadership team from across the county, that would be departments and elected offices, just to talk about what are we facing externally, what are our strengths that we have to face these things, and what challenges we might have as we develop the 2026 budget. So anyone who's interested can find that on our website if they're interested in seeing that discussion and how that went. So I just call attention to that. Last week we meet with Wellington Town Manager Patty Garcia and Fort Collins City Manager Kelly DiMartino. We meet periodically as managers one-on-one to make sure that we're coordinating what we're doing, how we're doing it, and so that we're not duplicating services to the extent that we can. I also had the opportunity to meet with Fort Collins Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Ann Hutchinson. They have been very involved in our transportation efforts as a chamber, and most particularly have encouraged us, along with other local governments, Fort Collins, PSD, CSU, UC Health, and with the support of the Bohemian Foundation, to develop some talking points around what is happening at the federal and state level. What about the economy? How is that affecting local government? What changes can people expect to see from all of those organizations? Because when you squeeze a balloon, the air has to go someplace else. It doesn't just leave the balloon. And so if Medicaid is affected, UC Health may be affected, which may affect how we provide access to services across the community for everyone, including those fully insured. And so we're continuing to fine tune those points. Hope to have something to present to you here soon so you can see how this conversation is going. Josh Fudge in our budget office, our budget and performance office, has taken the lead on this for the county, and he's doing a spectacular job just representing the impact these federal funds have on our community. About a quarter of our community receives Medicaid benefits, which is a number I think that is staggering to most people. So I think that's the hope. We try to just tell the story. Some of it we can affect, some of it we cannot affect as we work through our budget process and through the coming months. So those are my highlights for this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorinda. Any comments or questions for Lorinda? Lorinda, yeah, just thank you for leading those efforts, and I think that it's really important for us to make the community aware of those, how those federal cuts are affecting both our residents and our ability to deliver services. So I'm glad that the chamber is curious about that and that others are. When I talk to groups, people are sort of astounded by the kind of numbers that we're talking about with regard to Medicaid and food benefits. And so we know that those cuts would have added pressures on our nonprofits that they just might not be able to handle, including the food bank and others. So it's good to keep abreast of that and share with our partners. So thank you. So we'll move on to Commissioner activity reports. That will start with Commissioner Kafalis.
Thank you. Just a couple of things that I'll mention, and I'm sure at least one of these others will speak to. But on Sunday, the three of us participated in the Veterans Plaza of Northern Colorado Memorial Day ceremony. The theme was Vietnam War, Welcome Home. They had the mobile Vietnam Wall with all the names of people, the 58,000 folks. So it was a very nice event. A lot of good folks assembled, a good program, very inspiring. The next thing I'll mention is, I think on Friday, all of us were also there. There was an opening night exhibit at the Museum of Discovery, Nature All Around Us. I was able to go with my granddaughter, who I think enjoyed herself quite a bit. Then had on Thursday night, LaPorte community meeting at Miomai. This was a follow-up to our community conversation to strategize and organize a bit regarding their interest, the community's interest in the acquiring the old fire station number 7. To the credit of the community this morning, and that's where I was in support. We were at the Poudre Fire Authority board meeting. They have a public comment period. And I think there were 4 people, and I spoke a little bit at the end as time allowed. But they did a great job of conveying, what the need is and why this is important. And there were a couple of asks for a follow-up meeting at the old fire station to maybe slow down the process or pause the process for the sale, and or at least to be notified if there's an offer, that kind of thing. So we'll keep going, trying to support those folks. And then finally, I got to be outside. I think it was Wednesday morning with folks from the Fort Collins Natural Areas Department. We did a walkabout at the Rocky Ridge open space area, natural area that it's about 500 acres. It's pretty neat property, pretty neat land. And it was once again another collaboration partnership with the county. And it's, we often talk about having natural areas, open spaces closer to Fort Collins, and this is an example of that, which helps to reduce some of the barriers for some folks who may not be able to go up to Soapstone Natural Area or Red Mountain Open Space. So that was a lot of fun to be outside with those folks, and it was just a great time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So I'll start on Wednesday. First, I attended the Big Thompson Watershed Health Partnership, and they're finalizing their water shed restoration and protection action plan for prioritization of what areas for wildfire mitigation and restoration work they need to do. There's several partners, federal, state, and local partners, and Larimer County is also in that room. And so it's important planning and going for grants. And so it's great to see the partnership, because that's really important for us to be breaking down silos and trying to be working in collaboration. I went then up to Rocky National Park for a ribbon cutting with some of the federal and Mayor Hall from Estes Park for the Fall River entrance, which is its 5th iteration of that interest in the park's history. It hasn't been done in a while, but it's taken 20 years to get to that ribbon cutting and to have all the infrastructure. So it's not only having more kiosks, but widening the roads, doing some updates to the infrastructure for stormwater and for septic and wastewater areas, since that's such a sensitive area. They worked hard with partners to have it blend in and look very historic with the surroundings. As the superintendent said in his speech, it's certainly a entrance worthy of Rocky National Park. There is some electronic, in case the rangers aren't there and people come through at night, there's still a way to buy your pass electronically. And what's another thing of note is the kiosks and the little ranger stations are designed with ranger safety and comfort and health in mind. So they're ADA accessible, they're easier for them and safer for them. Also, with the exhaust of all the cars, when you have the backup with timed entry, the rangers and staff won't be breathing as much exhaust fumes. So that was really exciting to see. It's one of my favorite entrances, going up every year since I was born. With my parents liked that entrance the most, so it's great to see. And they had a lot of historic pictures of how it used to be. The rangers used to stand just in between the lanes of cars and handing out and buying tickets out of just a little tiny desk. And that I remember that. And so it's just those were the days where they were just standing there with no protection. So this is way a lot safer for everyone involved. And then I was very proud to join our NOCO Places 2050. I'm pretty active and involved with that group, and they, Larimer County Department of Natural Resources, hosted the NOCO Places and some of the staff for that, as they did some tribal indigenous engagement workshop. And I was glad to attend that, and especially at the end, and give some words of welcome. And also this will help with me understanding as we move forward with the NOCO Places meetings what we're trying to do. It was a really powerful conversation, and I think there'll be some work that along with the outdoor strategy through the state of Colorado. So I think there's some great partnerships coming there to come forward. So I'm really excited about that. Then we had our CCAT member meeting as we start to already look. It's literally session just ended and already working on next session and how we're going to advocate for counties, making sure counties are, we're kind of the social safety net. We all talked about all these things with the SNAP letter and everything, and we just need to work with our state partners so we don't have other unfunded mandates, and they work to help strengthen our relationships because we're all in this together and we all share the same constituents. So we want to take care of them. And then we had our regional opiate abatement council meeting. We had a couple of updates for final reports. We have a 6-month and 1-year report from those grantees, and there's a lot of great information and data. And I think want to just give another shout out to Beth Yance, who is retiring. It was her last meeting. She's been a great partner and a great voting member with lots of great conversations. And I appreciate her service on that committee the last 3 years. We've done a lot of great work saving lives. And then I just wanted to shout out, last week also was Emergency Medical Services Week, which is really important. The theme for 2025 was "We Care, period, for everyone, period." And I think that's really important considering Pride and all the things happening with Mental Health Awareness Month. They show up and run into danger and show up in people's times of need, and they serve everyone. They don't look at socioeconomic, any kind of demographics. They just show up when people need, and they take care of folks. And so for another year in a row, Thompson Valley Emergency Services, I want to thank them. They host a barbecue for EMS week. They want to thank dispatchers and paramedics and EMTs and all the folks. As you know, my family has a almost 40-year history in emergency medicine and emergency medical services. And it was great to participate, and a lot of law enforcement, other folks, partners around, including the sheriff's office from around the county, came in to celebrate. And I just want to give them a shout out. I thought the theme was very, very powerful, and I appreciated that. And it was always great to have good conversations. And then we had our Forest Health Council. We are working on that I chair, and I want to thank Lori Hodges for reaching out to me. I gave her a lot of information that she found helpful that she will be using to speak to Senator Hickenlooper and Congressman Neguse, and her and I kind of partnered on that. Some of the data that we be using for the Forest Health Council and the mitigation work. And a lot of that came from presentations from other regions and the powerful work of mitigation work. So I think that's really important. And I wanted to also share with Commissioner Cafalis, it was really a nice and wonderful time to be at the Nature All Around Us opening at the Fort Collins Museum of Discovery. It was really interesting to learn about how in an urban environment there is nature all around us and how we can support that. It's a very interactive exhibit. I really recommend you go. There's actually a booth that is kind of from sunrise to sunset, kind of a interactive poem, and it's a really unique experience. If you haven't experienced something like that, I would highly recommend taking that moment for yourself and checking this out and experiencing that. It is really a powerful exhibit. And I want to thank the Larimer County Department of Natural Resources and their staff for sponsoring that and being involved with that. I think that was really great to be represented there. And of course, always appreciate the Veterans Plaza of Northern Colorado Memorial Day ceremony, and all the volunteers, including Diggs Brown and Gary Rickner and others, and Mary, and all the folks that get it so organized, and they do such a great job. The flyers and the themes and all the people they have. The rain was threatening us to come down any minute, but people still come. I want to thank County Manager Lorinda Volker for coming. And it was a theme of the Vietnam veterans and welcome home, and we had a lot of Vietnam veterans. I appreciate the ability to purchase and buy and wear these, and it's really a powerful way to spend the day, and thank them for their service and their volunteer work, because that whole plaza is taken care of with volunteers' passion and dedication. And as we know, veterans they're always dedicated in serving our community, even after their service, and in so many ways. And I want to just thank everyone for their service and their dedication to. We have to remember every day is almost Memorial Day for a lot of families who lost their loved ones in service to this country. So that's all I have. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Shattuck McNally. I'll just add a couple things. As Commissioner Shattuck McNally said, we had the CCAT wrap up last week, and I think that was really valuable. I mean, the themes are sort of how do we deal with all the cuts in funding at the state and federal level, and how do we continue to provide good services for our communities. So those conversations will continue into the fall and as we gear up for another legislative session. I did have an opportunity with the CCI board to do some input for Colorado's Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy with the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade. So the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or CEDS, is a planning process that the state goes through to create space for our region to identify its strengths and weaknesses, and talk about how we have good jobs and diversify the economy. And so it was really great. I think that the main voice from the counties was sort of like, there again, how do we do some of this economic development if we can no longer afford to pay for our infrastructure? And how do we make sure that rural areas and ag is included in any talk that we have around economic development, since ag is one of our leading economies and in the state. And so I think it was a really great discussion, to try to get the OEDIT department to really understand kind of where counties are coming from in this jobs and economic health space. So on Thursday, we also said goodbye to Paul Sizemore, who was our executive director of the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization. He will be leaving to do planning in a small community in Canada, and so we wish him all the best. And we are currently searching for a new executive director. That position is open and posted. If anybody wants to apply for that, we would love people with experience in transportation or in the MPO area to apply for that position. We had on Thursday night also had a meeting of both a meeting and a retreat for the Fort Collins Urban Renewal Authority. And we did authorize using eminent domain for the El Palomino Motel. People are probably familiar with that motel. We are also engaged with another motel in that area, the Budget Host, to be able to purchase those properties. These are nuisance properties that have had tons of concerns and calls. The El Palomino had over 400 calls last year to first responders, whether that's police or fire. And so it is a nuisance property that has a lot of blight, and that is what the Urban Renewal Authority was created to do, was to remediate for blight. And so we are excited about the possibility of doing that and making life better for both the people and the businesses on North College Avenue. So that was a good outcome. And then really talked about other projects that we have and how we identify other projects for the Urban Renewal Authority, understanding that this is a tool that needs to be used wisely in small areas and not encompass an entire city or farmland, that is really used to address urban blight and not corn or wheat. On Friday, we had the Middle Income Housing Authority meeting. The good news is that we have several projects in the works that are finally look like they're going to go through. We have special limited ownership opportunities with a couple projects that we'll be able to help by giving that tax exempt status to those projects. So one project is in the Denver area. There's a project in Granby that's about to be completed. There's a project in Summit County. And so after years of several years of sort of being stuck in a position where we weren't able to do very much because of rising interest rates and other things that were happening, we are starting to see middle income housing projects come to fruition. And that is very exciting as a board, because it's very hard to sit and wait for projects to come to you and people to not just be able to find that gap funding. So that also was a really good outcome. And and it hopefully is a sign to come that people are able to get these projects to. And then, yeah, the exhibit at the Museum of Discovery, what nature all around us, was wonderful, and it was a great way to celebrate with the museum. And thank you to Natural Resources for their sponsorship. So that is all for me today, and that is all for our agenda today. So we won't be back next week. So we will see you in 2 weeks, Larimer County. Thank you.